ॐ श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्दाः गोविन्दा सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। नमो नमः सद्गुरुभ्यः सद्गुरुभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो नमः सद्गुरुभ्यः सद्गुरुभ्यो नमो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरह कातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुः तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। यस्वानुभावमखिलश्रुतिसारमेकम् अध्यात्मदीपम् अतितितीर्षतां तमोऽन्धं संसारिणां करुणयाः पुराणगुह्यं तं व्याससूनुमुपयामि गुरुं मुनीनां। योगीन्द्राय नमस्तस्मै शुकाय ब्रह्मरूपिणे संसारसर्पदष्टं यो विष्णुरातम् अमूमुचते कालव्यालमुखग्रास त्रासनिर्नाशहेतवे श्रीमद्भागवतं शास्त्रं कलौकीरेण भाषितम् एतस्मादपरं किञ्चित् मनःशुद्ध्येन विद्यते जन्मान्तरे भवेत् पुण्यं तदा भागवतं लभेत् ज्ञानवैराग्यसम्पूर्णान् हरिभक्तिपरायणान् पूर्वाचार्यादहं वन्दे सम्प्रदायप्रवर्तकान् भगवन्नाम साम्राज्य लक्ष्मी सर्वस्वविग्रहं श्रीमद्बोधेन्द्रयोगीन्द्र देशिकेन्द्रम् उपास्महे। कलिकालोचितं धर्मं नाम संकीर्तनात्मकं निर्णेतुम् अवतीर्णं तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे। हरे रामेति कृष्णेति नाम संकीर्तनं सदा लोकक्षेमाय कुर्वन्तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयाद् इतरतश्चार्तेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्। श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्य वरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषिभिस्तत्क्षणात् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रीमद्भागवताख्योऽयं प्रत्यक्षः कृष्ण एव हि स्वीकृतोऽसि मया नाथ मुक्त्यर्थं भवसागरे मनोरथो मदीयोऽयं सफलः सर्वदा त्वया निर्विघ्नेनैव कर्तव्यो दासोऽहं तव केशव। श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः। गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्दा गोविन्दा सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Good afternoon, everyone. So we'll do the review of 31. Let me see what I had. Ramesh, can you do one half, and Shanti, you can do one. I think 19 stanzas each. The 31 or 41, then you can start.
31 through 40, right?
31, 31st chapter from 41st stanza.
Okay, 41st chapter, okay.
Yam manyate patim moha.
Yeah, manyate, okay. या मन्यते पदिमोहात् मन्यमायां वृषभायतीं स्त्रीत्वं श्रुतिसङ्कातप्राप्तो विद्धापत्यगृहपारतम्।
The first line after the comma, man mayam.
मन्मायां वृषभायतीं तामत्मनो विजानीयात् पत्यपत्यगृहात्मकं दैवोपासादितं मृत्युं मृगयोर्कायनं यथा देहेन जीवभूतेन लोकाल्लोकमनुव्रजन् बुज्ञान एव
भुञ्जान
कर्मा
in भुञ्जान.
बुज्ञान एव कर्माणि करोत्यविरतं पुमान् जीवो ह्यस्यानुको को देहो भूतेन्द्रियमनोमयः तन्निरोधोऽस्य मरणम् आविर्भावस्तु सम्भवः द्रव्योपलब्धिस्थितानस्य द्रव्येक्ष योग्यता यथा तत्पञ्चत्वमहं मानात् उद्धर्द्रव्यदर्शनम्
Sunday, second half. Utpattir dravya darshanam.
उद्यर्थं यदाक्ष्णोर्द्रव्यवयः दर्शन योग्यता यथा तथैव चक्षुरो द्रष्टुः दृष्टदृत्वो योग्यतानयोः
So the second, so last line, second half. Drashtritva yogyatanayo.
द्रष्टृद्वा योग्यतानयोः तस्मान्धकार्यसन्द्रासो न कार्पण्यं न सम्भ्रमः बुद्ध्वा जीवतिं धीरो मुक्तसङ्गश्चरोतिह
Tarediha.
मुद्यः सङ्गसरेदिह सम्यक् दर्शनया बुद्ध्या योगवैराग्ययुक्त्या माया विरचितो लोके शरेण्यस्य कलेवरम्
The second line first time. Birachitte, not to. Birachitte loke.
माया विरचिते लोके श्रीमद् भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां तृतीयस्कन्धे कापिलोपाख्यानो जीवकदिर्नाम एकत्रिंशोऽध्यायः. Then continue next.
Yeah, you can do 10 stanzas. Yeah, I can continue.
कपिल उवाच अदायो गृहमेतीयान् धर्मनो वा वसङ्गृहो काममर्दं च धर्मान् स्वान् दोक्यति भूय बिभर्तितान्.
First line after the comma. Dharmani-va vasangrihe.
धर्मानेवा वसङ्गृहे काममर्दं च धर्मान् स्वान् दोक्यद्य भूय बिभर्तितान्. स चापि भगवान् धर्मान् काममूढप्रङ्गमुखः यजतो क्रतुर्बिर्धोवान् पितृंश्च श्रद्धयान्वितः.
The second line, yajate. I think on the te and to, you are switching. Yajate. Yeah, okay, keep going. Yeah.
I think I remember that. Okay, thank you. दर्शद्धया क्रन्तमदिः पितृदेवत्रदभुमान् कत्वा चान्द्रमशं लोकं सोमभा पुनरेष्यति यदा चाहीन्द्रस्यायां सेते नन्दासनो हरिः तथा लोकालयं यान्ति ततयेतो गृहमेधिनाम्.
Yete grihamedhinam.
तयेते गृहमेधिनाम् ये स्वधर्मान् दुह्यन्ति धीरा कामार्थहेतवे निःसङ्गा न्यस्तकर्माणाः प्रसन्ता शुद्धचेतसः निवृत्तिधर्मनिरताः निर्ममा निरङ्कृताः स्वधर्माख्येन सत्त्वेन परिशुद्धेन चेतसा सूर्यत्वारेण ते यन्ति पुरुषं विश्वतो मुखं परावरेशं प्रकृतिम् अस्योत्पत्यन्तभावनम् द्विपरार्थावासा द्विपारार्तावसानो यः प्रपल्यो ब्रह्मणस्
प्रलयो प्रलयो
ओ प्रलयो ब्रह्मणस्तु ते तावतत्यासते लोकम् परस्य परचिन्ताकाः श्माम्भो नलानिलव्यन्मन इन्द्रियार्थभूतादिभिः परिवृतं हीर्षुषुः
ईर्षुः
हीर्षुः अव्यकृतं व्यसति अव्यकृतं व्यसति यहिर्गुणत्रयात्मा कालपराख्यमनुभूय परस्वयंभूः
அந்த third line first மட்டும் அவ்யாக்கிருதம் விஷதி.
अव्याकृतं विशति
Yeah.
यर्हि गुणात्रम एवं परेत्य भगवान् मनुप्रविष्टा योगयोगिनो जितमरुन्मनसो विरागाः तेनैव साकं मृतं पुरुषं पुराणं ब्रह्म प्रदानमुपयन्त्याध्यापिमानाः.
The first line bhagavantam anupravishta, first line.
Okay.
And then and the second ye yogino, and the a and o, I think that you keep, and the that's a switch multiple
ये
places, right?
योगिन okay
Ye yogino,
एवं
yeah.
एवं परेत्य भगवान्
No,
भगवान्तं
bhagavantam.
भगवन्तम् अनुप्रविष्टा
Yeah.
ये योगिनो जितमरुन् मनसो विरागाः
Yeah.
तेनैव साकं मृतं पुरुषं पुराणं ब्रह्म प्रदानमुपयान्त्यगताभिमानाः अदतं
And you can stop there,
सर्वभूतानां
Ramesh. Yeah, you can stop.
check okay thank you.
Okay. अदतं सर्वभूतानां हृत्पद्मेषु कृतालयं श्रुतानुभावं शरणं व्रजभावेन भामिनी आद्यस्थिरच्चराणां यो वेदगर्भसहर्षिभिः योगेश्वरैः कुमारात्यैः सिद्धैर्योगप्रवर्तकैः
Pravartakaihi.
प्रवर्तकैः वेददृष्ट्याभिमानेन निसङ्गेनाभिकर्मणा कर्तृत्वात् सगुणं ब्रह्म पुरुषं पुरुषर्षभं ससंसृत्य पुनः कालेनेश्वरमूर्तिना जाते गुणव्यधिकरे यदा पूर्वं प्रजायते ऐश्वर्यं पारमेष्ट्यं च तेऽपि धर्मविनिर्मितं निषेव्य पुनरायान्ति गुणव्यधिकरे सदि ये द्विहासक्तमनसः कर्मसु श्रद्धयान्विताः कुर्वन्त्यप्रदिषिद्धानि नित्यान्यपि च कृत्स्नसः रजसा गुण्डमनसः कामात्मनो जितेन्द्रियाः पितॄन् यजन्त्यनुदिनं गृहेष्वभिरदासयाः
The first line, second half. Kamat mano jitendriya. Okay, the a mano. Okay.
कामात् मानो जितेन्द्रियाः पितॄन् यजन्त्यनुदिनं गृहेष्वपिरतासयाः त्रैवर्गिकास्ते पुरुषाः विमुखा हरिमेधसः कदायां कदनीयोरुविक्रमस्य मधुत्विषः नूनं दैवेन विहता ये चाच्युत कदा सुधाम् हित्वा शृण्वन्त्य सत्काताः पुरुषमिव विट्पुजः.
First line, Shanti. The daivena bihataha. We added a visarga and then a comma there. Okay.
Yes, sorry. Okay.
Bihataha.
दक्षिणेन पदार्यं नः पितृलोकं व्रजन्ति ते प्रजामनुप्रजायन्ते श्मशानान्त क्रियाकृतः तदस्ते क्षीणसुकृताः पुनर्लोकमिमं सदी पदन्ति विवशा देवैः सत्यो विभ्रंशितोदयाः तस्मात् त्वं सर्वभावेन भजस्व परमेष्टिनं तद्गुणाश्रयया भक्त्या भजनीयपदाम्बुजम् वासुदेवे भगवती भक्तियोगप्रयोजितः जनयत्याशु वैराग्यं ज्ञानं यत् ब्रह्मदर्शनं यदास्य चित्तमर्देषु समेष्विन्द्रियवृत्तिभिः न विगृह्णाति वैषम्यं प्रियं प्रियमित्युत
प्रियम् अप्रियमित्युत
प्रियम् अप्रियमित्युत स तदैवात्मात्मानं निषङ्गं समदर्शनं हेयोपादेयाहिदम् आरूढं पदमीक्षते
first line first and the word mattum sa tadaivatmanatmanam
तदैवात्मात्मानं
तदैव आत्मना आत्मानं so तदैवात्मनात्मानं
सदैवात्मनात्मानं
yeah that's okay
सदैवात्मनात्मानं निषङ्गं समदर्शनं हेयोपादेयरहितम् आरूढं पदमीक्षते ज्ञानमात्रं परब्रह्म परमात्मेश्वरमुमान् तृष्यादिभिः पृथक् भावैः भगवानेकयीयते एधावानेव योगेन समग्रेणेह योगिनः युज्यते विमदो ह्यर्धो यतसङ्गस्तु कृत्स्नसः ज्ञानमेकं पराशीनैः इन्द्रियै ब्रह्मनिर्गुणम् अवभात्यर्थरूपेण प्रान्त्या सप्तादिधर्मिणा यदा माहनहं रूपः त्रिवृत्पञ्चविधः स्वराट् एकादशविधस्तस्य वपुरण्डं जगत्यतः ये दत्वै श्रद्धया भक्त्या योगाभ्यासेन नित्यसः समाहितात्मा निःसङ्गो विरक्त्या परिपश्यति.
that's where we stop. Okay, so we'll just do a quick wrap up of 32. I think we still have some more half meaning left, right? So just kind of a recap. This is kind of the end of the Kapilopadesham, and then 33 is a little bit wrap of what happens to Kapila and what happens to Devahuti is 33rd chapter, right? So in this, when this Kapila is kind of wrapping up in this, the last class we saw about the various things that a grihastha does. Like previous chapters, we saw all the bad things you commit, what happens. And then the good things, what is the merit of all the great work that is actually done. And then he talked about, everyone who's actually performing all these yajnams, all these Vedic sacrifices, following all the rules, doing all the things, but with an expectation of something for themselves, right? Either for something of sense enjoyment or some other results that they actually want at the end, will go to this Chandramasam Lokam, will go there, where some of it, the good karma is, then they get the benefit, and then they're born again. They have to be born again to relinquish the rest of the good karma and the bad karma. And then there are others who follow all the right rituals, like of performing tarpanam or performing all of those things, not for personal satisfaction, but for the benefit of their family and for the benefit of their ancestors and all of that. Again, good karma is built to it, but they still have to go to Pitrulokam where they get benefit and they're again born, because that karma, all of that they're getting, they still have to be born again to reap the benefits of the good and the bad karma. But the net he's saying is, doesn't mean don't do anything, right? That's not the takeaway here. Whether you are doing any rituals or whether you're doing any charity and all of this stuff, all of that is important. The only point he's calling out is the motivation for why you're doing is extremely important. If you're doing something expecting something in return, you will get that something in return. That is the problem with it, right? So the point is, you should do all of these things without expecting anything in return for neither you nor for anybody around, because that is also what you are bound with all of that karma. If you want good things for your family and you do all of those things, you're still expecting something in return, right? So that is all getting bound into that karma bucket. So you have to do all of these things with expecting nothing in return, offering all of that to Bhagavan, saying, I don't want the result of any of these things. And of course, all of this should be done with a pure heart. And especially charity and things, he's saying you should do it for it's a recipient who's more important than you, right? If you're doing something, it should be not like I am doing it so I get a benefit of it. It should be more like the person who deserves it, let them get the benefit of it, not a benefit to me, right? We should kind of get to that mindset. That's what he's saying. If you don't get to that mindset, you still accumulate karma for every single thing that you're doing. So anyway, in the end, he says, in the end is, he says, in the 23rd chapter, 23rd stanza, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha. He says, oh mother, it is very, very simple. All these things that you are doing or you are not doing, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is you should do everything with devotion towards that Vasudeva. And by getting that devotion, if you go back all the way to our Bhagavata Mahatmyam, we saw how that Bhakti, the mother, had two sons who were actually weak, Jnana and Vairagya. Like Jnanam is knowledge, Vairagyam is detachment. Both of them were the sons of that mother Bhakti. So the calf, right? So the calves of that cow Bhakti. So he says that is what this is. He says by getting the devotion, Jnanam and Vairagyam and yet Brahma Darshanam, self-realization will automatically come. You don't have to go pursuing it separately. That will automatically come. So just stick to that, right? And then again, he talks about, like I think Priyam, Apriyam, that word that we were discussing, was really saying that a pure devotee is one who doesn't care about anything like pleasure or pain or gain or loss. All of that, you are steadfast and remaining standard no matter what it is, right? And then he quickly wraps up by talking about people follow different methods, right? We spoke about somebody who's doing self contemplation and then trying to understand the Bhagavan inside. That is one set of category, right? Where you say, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to think about the Bhagavan who's inside of me. That's one category. Then there is second, which is the Jnana Margam of trying to, through philosophical knowledge, trying to understand the Nirguna Brahman. And the third one is like majority, when you say Narayanam, all of that, you talk about understanding the pastimes of the Lord and talking about the glories of the Lord. He says, doesn't matter what path, right? All of this, one is a Nirguna Brahman, the other is a Saguna Brahman, like the Brahman taking a form of the various incarnation. The third is the Paramatma who's inside of all of you. He says all these three are the same people. So it's not like these three are different people. It is just how we are looking at it. That personality is different, but you can call them whatever you want or think of them as without form or with form. It's all the same. And in the end, he kind of then starts wrapping this thing up, right? Saying that, I think one of the stanzas I wanted to call out, 34 to 36, in that he will talks about every single thing that you do, which is kriyaya, all the works that you do, kratubihi, which is all the sacrifices you do, all the dhanam you do, all the tapam, all the penance you do, every single thing that one actually does. He mentions about 15 to 20 of those things over 3 stanzas. Every single thing that you actually do, everything you should do all of this with complete detachment and with realization of the Supreme Lord and devoted to that Lord, because everything that you are doing here, which is all important, is all, if you think we're doing something in return, then you are going to get bound by all of this. That is the only way to liberate yourself, right? So then he wraps it up by saying, this way, oh mother, I've told you everything that is to be known, right? I mean, this Kapilavatar and the Kapilopakyanam, the thing is, if your mind and you are ready to absorb it, he literally says there's nothing more that is to be known. You don't have to do anything else. It is just understanding everything that the Lord Kapila has said, right? Because again, you should be ready, right? It's not easy for us to quit everything tomorrow. So I think the important aspect is whether we are all ready to accept it. But he says this is everything that needs to be known of, how the various types of devotional service we saw. And he says all the beings are, time is just running away for all these beings. And, they have no idea all the karma they are accumulating, what is going to come. Nobody has any idea, right? Life is just going on. That's what he says, right? And he says, anybody who is, like agnostic, people who don't believe in things, people who are immoral, or people who are very materialistic, this is not the right knowledge for them, because this knowledge is going to be useless for them, right? You can keep telling all you want, it is going to be irrelevant for them. So this is not relevant for people who are not ready for it. And for people who are actually ready for it, who are the greatest of devotees, he says this is all that is there to be known, right? And we'll see in the next chapter how Devahuti is going to get liberated with this. And in the very end, the Phalastuti, he talks about the benefits of this, right? How by doing this, that's all there is to be known. And, you should always think about Bhagavan. And the end, he said, Yayidam Shuniyad Amba Shraddhaya Purushas Sakriti. Whoever listens to it, hears about it, talks about it, with Shraddha, with enough amount of faith and devotion to this, and truly understands the benefit of it, is guaranteed liberation. So if you are not yet liberated, that means we haven't quite understood this, or we are not able to internalize it, right? Because you have to internalize it and live through it. And that's what Devahuti is going to do in the next chapter. So with that, all the Kapila Upakhyanam of Kapila comes to an end.
Rajeshji, where is Pitrulogam? Is it right
it's all in different levels. It doesn't say specifically, Sindhuji. All of those are at just various levels of consciousness, right? So it could be like, it may not even be a physical place where you have, because remember, when the body exits, you have a Sukshma Shariram, right? Can we see anybody's Sukshma Shariram? No, right? So we can't see the Sukshma Shariram. So that Sukshma Shariram is going and residing somewhere, quote unquote. You are not going to be able to see. You can walk on, I'm just giving an example. You can walk on moon tomorrow and you might not see if that's the place where it is, right? Oh. Because you just are not able to see. When the soul leaves the body, can you see the soul leaving the body? No, right? So if that Sukshma Shariram is sitting somewhere, you still will not be able to see it with the current form, I'm saying. So we just don't know at which level or plane of consciousness that is in, right?
So for that loka, we don't have a GPS yet.
No, but when you die, you will get it. So
Rajesh, basically this both the karma, punya karma or papa karma, both are chain, isn't it? One is a gold chain, the other one is iron chain. So it's a chain only, isn't it?
When you say chain, you mean like you're bound by it, you're saying?
Yeah.
You're bound. I mean, like it says, any thought, any words, any action, everything is creating karma, right? It's creating good, it's creating bad. Like you said, bad karma and good karma, some of it you will experience it before you are born again. I don't know the rules of it. There are probably some rules, some things you'll experience, right? Which you don't need to take birth again. Then the rest you have to take birth to experience that, right? So that is kind of how it is. The split happens. And of course, not everything gets over in one birth, right? You have to end up picking which ones you want to experience the next birth and so on. So it's a lot of complicated calculations, right, on that. Okay, so we'll start with 31. Amuchechi, I think you are there. Yeah, you can be a student, and Meera can be a student. Ityetat katitam gurvi, jnanam tat brahma darshanam, yenanu bhudyate tattvam, prakritev purushasya cha. Ityetat katitam gurvi, jnanam tat brahma darshanam, yenanu bhudyate tattvam, prakritev purushasya cha.
Ityetat katitam gurvi, jnanam tad brahma darshanam, yenanu bhudyate tattvam, prakritev purushasya cha.
Ityetat kathitam gurvi, jnanam tad brahma darshanam, yenanu budhyate tattvam, prakritev purushasya cha.
Jnana yogascha mannishto, nairgunyo bhakti lakshanah, dvayorapyeka evartho, bhagavach chabda lakshanah. Jnana yogascha mannishto, nairgunyo bhakti lakshanah, dvayorapyeka evartho, bhagavach chabda lakshanah.
Jnana yogascha mannishto, nairgunyo bhakti lakshanah, dvayorapyega evartho, bhagavat shabda lakshanah.
Jnana yogascha mannishto, nairgunyo bhakti lakshanah, dvayorapyeka evartho, bhagavat shabda lakshanah.
Yatendriyaih pritag dwaraihi. So the ra that is there, I'm just breaking it, visarga, comma. Next word starts the up. Artho bahu gunashrayah eko naneyate tadvat, just breaking the dan bada, tadvat, comma, Bhagavan Shastra Vartmabhihi. Yatindriyaiः पृथग्द्वारैः Artho Bahugunashrayah Eko Naneyate Tadvat Bhagavan Shastra Vartmabhihi.
यतेन्द्रियैः पृथक्द्वारैः अर्थो बहुगुणाश्रयः एको नानेयते तद्वत् भगवान् शास्त्रवत्मभिः
यथेन्द्रियैः पृथग्द्वारैः अर्थो बहुगुणाश्रयः एको नान्येयते तद्वत् भगवान् शास्त्रवर्त्मभिः
Kriyaya Kratubhir Danaihi, that is goes away, Visarga comma, Danaihi, Tapas Swadhyaya Marshanaihi, Atmendriya Jayenapi, comma, Sanyasena cha karmanam. Kriyaya Kratubhirdanaihi, Tapaswadhyaya Marshanaihi, Atmendriya Jayenapi, Sanyasena cha karmanam.
क्रियया क्रतुभिर्दानैः तपस्वाध्यायमर्शनैः आत्मेन्द्रियजयेनापि सन्न्यासेन च कर्मणाम्
क्रियया क्रतुभिर्दानैः तपस्वाध्यायमर्शनैः आत्मेन्द्रियजयेनापि सन्न्यासेन च कर्मणाम्
Yogena Vividhangena, comma, Bhakti Yogena Chaivahi, Dharmenobhaya Chinnena, comma, Yah Pravritti Nivrittiman. Yogena Vividhangena, Bhakti Yogena Chaivahi, Dharmenobhaya Chinnena, Yah Pravritti Nivrittiman.
योगेन विविधाङ्गेन भक्तियोगेन चैव हि धर्मेणाभयचिह्नेन यः प्रवृत्तिनिवृत्तिमान्
योगेन विविधाङ्गेन भक्तियोगेन चैव हि धर्मेणोभयचिह्नेन यः प्रवृत्तिनिवृत्तिमान्.
He said this just talks about the various ways, right? Yoga, Vividha Anga, all the various limbs of the yoga, or through Bhakti Yoga, or performing your Dharma. Next one, Atma Tattva, you doing self-realization. So all the various ways in which you can reach Bhagavan. So there's no one fixed way, right? You can do any of these things, and all of which will, but you still have to do it the right way. Atma Tattvava Bodhena, comma, Vairagyena Dridena cha, Iyate Bhagavanebihi, comma, Saguno Nirguna Swadrika. Atmatatvavabodhena Vairagyena Dridhena cha, Iyate Bhagavanebihi, Saguno Nirguna Swadrika.
आत्मतत्त्वावबोधेन वैराग्येण दृढेन च ईयते भगवानेभिः सगुणो निर्गुणस्वदृक्
आत्मतत्त्वावबोधेन वैराग्येन दृढेन च ईयते भगवान्नेभिः सगुणो निर्गुणस्वदृक्.
Pravocham Bhakti Yogasya, comma, Swarupam te Chaturvidham, Kalasya Chavyakta Gatehe, Visarga, comma, that you, there's a ir that goes away, Yontar Dhavati Jantushu. Pravocham Bhakti Yogasya, Swarupam te Chaturvidham, Kalasya Chavyakta Gatehe, Yontar Dhavati Jantushu.
प्रावोचं भक्तियोगस्य स्वरूपं ते चतुर्विधं कालस्य चाव्यक्तगतेः योऽन्तर्धावति जन्तुषु
प्रावोचं भक्तियोगस्य स्वरूपं ते चतुर्विधं कालस्य चाव्यक्तगतेः योऽन्तर्धावति जन्तुषु.
Jivasya Samsritir Bahvihi. So that ra, that Visarga, comma, Bahvihi. Next word starts with the A. Avidya Karma Nirmitaha Yaswanga pravishannatma, na veda gatimatmanah. Jihvasya samsritir bahvihi avidya karma nirmitaha yaswanga pravishannatma na veda gatimatmanah.
जीवस्य संसृतिर्बह्वीः अविद्या कर्मनिर्मिताः यास्वङ्गप्रविशन्नात्मा न वेदगतिमात्मनः
जीवस्य संसृतिर्बह्वीः अविद्याकर्मनिर्मिताः यास्वङ्गप्रविशन्नात्मा न वेदगतिमात्मनः.
Here, Gatim is where your destination is. Atmanaha is self. She says we all perform all these things having no idea where we are all going to end up being, right? Because we are all in avidya, because we all have that ignorance, because of which we are not able to tell. Naithat kalayopadishet. So you have two na there. So first one of them becomes a it. Naithat kalayopadishet, comma. Na vinitaya karhichit, na stabdhaya, na bhinnaya, comma, naiva dharma dvajaya cha. Naithat khalayopadishet, na vinitaya karhichit, na stabdhaya, na bhinnaya, naiva dharma dvajaya cha.
नैतद्खलायोपदिशेद नाविनीताय कर्हिचित् न स्तब्धाय न भिन्नाय नैव धर्मध्वजाय च
नैतत्खलायोपदिशेत् नाविनीताय कर्हिचित् न स्तब्धाय न भिन्नाय नैव धर्मध्वजाय च.
13 and 40 is telling it for who all this is not applicable. So like for people are very stabdham, very, very firm and, very, what do you call, opinionated and hard. You cannot change them, right? So for those categories of people, he says they should not be told these things because it's just going to fall into deaf ears. Na lolupayopadishet, same logic, the na becomes a it. Lolupayopadishet, comma. न गृहारूढ़ चेतसे ना भक्ताय चमे जातु, न मद्भक्त द्विषामपि. So not only people who are not devoted to me, who don't have any devotion, but even people who are what do you call, hate people who have devotion. So even that category also, it's not going to be, it's worthless telling to any of those people. न लोलुपायोपदिशेत न गृहारूढचेतसे न भक्ताय च मे जातु न मद्भक्त द्विषामपि.
न लोलुपायोपदिशेत् न गृहारूढचेतसे न भक्ताय च मे जातु न मद्भक्तद्विषामपि
न लोलुपायोपदिशेत् न गृहारूढचेतसे न भक्ताय च मे जातु न मद्भक्तद्विषामपि.
श्रद्धानाय भक्ताय, विनीतायानसूयवे, one word, भूतेषु कृत मैत्र्याय, शुश्रूषाभिरताय च. This next two last people for whom it's worth it, right? Who will be able to absorb these things. Shraddhadanaya bhaktaya vinitayanasuyave bhuteshu krita maitriyaya shushrushabhirataya cha.
Rajesh, Krita Maitraya or Maitriyaya? The second one, Bhutesh. Maitraya, okay.
Yeah. But you have something different?
No, when you pronounce Vera Maria Kirtanaganan.
Krita Maitraya.
Maitraya.
श्रद्धधानाय भक्ताय विनीतायानसूयवे भूतेषु कृतमैत्राय शुश्रूषाभिरताय च
श्रद्धधानाय भक्ताय विनीतायानसूयवे भूतेषु कृतमैत्राय शुश्रूषाभिरताय च.
Bahir jata viragaya, shanta chittaya diyatham निर्मत्सराय शुचये, यस्याहं प्रेयसां प्रियः। बहिर्जातविरागाय शान्तचित्ताय दीयतां, निर्मत्सराय शुचये यस्याहं प्रेयसां प्रियः।
बहिर्जातविरागाय शान्तचित्ताय दीयतां, निर्मत्सराय शुचये यस्याहं प्रेयसां प्रियः।
बहिर्जातविरागाय शान्तचित्ताय दीयताम्, निर्मत्सराय शुचये यस्याहं प्रेयसां प्रियः।
य इदं शृणुयाद् अम्ब, श्रद्धया पुरुषः सकृत्, यो वाभिधत्ते मच्चित्तः, स हेति पदवीं च मे। य इदं शृणुयादम्ब श्रद्धया पुरुषः सकृत्, यो वाभिधत्ते मच्चित्तः, स हेति पदवीं च मे।
य इदं शृणुयादम्ब श्रद्धया पुरुषः सकृत्, यो वाभिधत्ते मच्चित्तः, स ह्येति पदवीं च मे।
मच्चित्तः, सेकंड लाइन।
यो वाभिधत्ते मच्चित्तः, स ह्येति पदवीं च मे।
य इदं शृणुयादम्ब श्रद्धया पुरुषः सकृत्, यो वाभिधत्ते मच्चित्तः, स ह्येति पदवीं च मे।
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां तृतीयस्कन्धे कापिलेये 32
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां तृतीयस्कन्धे कापिलेये 32
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां तृतीयस्कन्धे कापिलेये 32
अथ 33 मैत्रेयो उवाच एवं निशम्य कपिलस्य वचो जनित्री, सा कर्दमस्य दयिता किल देवहूतिः, विस्रस्त मोहपटला तमभिप्रणम्य, तुष्टाव तत्व विषयांकित सिद्धि भूमिम्। मैत्रेयो उवाच एवं निशम्य कपिलस्य वचो जनित्री, सा कर्दमस्य दयिता किल देवहूतिः, विस्रस्तमोहपटला तमभिप्रणम्य, तुष्टाव तत्त्वविषयांकित सिद्धिभूमिम्।
एवं मैत्रेय उवाच एवं निशम्य कपिलस्य वचो जनित्री, सा कर्दमस्य दयिता किल देवहूतिः, विस्रस्तमोहपटला तमभिप्रणम्य, तुष्टाव तत्त्वविषयांकित सिद्धिभूमिम्।
मैत्रेय उवाच एवं निशम्य कपिलस्य वचो जनित्री, सा कर्दमस्य दयिता किल देवहूतिः, विस्रस्तमोहपटला तमभिप्रणम्य, तुष्टाव तत्त्वविषयांकित सिद्धिभूमिम्।
Just so that you get the context of the next few stanzas here. So essentially he's telling that Devahuti finally, who's understood all this, so she's heard it directly from Bhagavan, right? So of course the absorption power is high when you hear it directly from such person. So with that, she finally is getting freed of all the ignorance, right? And then she's now going to get into more into bhakti. So she has now how to do devotional service, bhakti margam. She has all the knowledge that is to be known for the jnana margam, and she also now has the power of renunciation to do the karma yoga. So she essentially has all three. So she's going to do all three essentially, right? So with that, now that she has got the knowledge, she then does a stuti to Kapila. So as a mother doing a stuti to the son here, which is a Devahuti Ruvacha. Next is 7 stanzas of stuti that Devahuti is going to do. Devahuti Ruvacha atapya jontas salile shayanam, bhutendriyartatma, cannot break the word, bhuta indriya artha atma, multiple words there. So bhutendriyartatma mayam vapusthe guna pravaham sadashesha bijam, dadyau swayam yach jatarabja jatah. देवहूतिरुवाच अताप्यजोऽन्तः सलिले शयानं भूतेन्द्रियार्थात्ममयं वपुस्ते गुणप्रवाहं सदशेषबीजं दध्यौ स्वयं यज्जठराब्जजातः
देवहूतिरुवाच अदाप्यजोऽन्तः सलिले शयानं भूतेन्द्रियार्थात्ममयं वपुस्ते गुणप्रवाहं सदशेषबीजं दद्यौ स्वयं यज्जठराब्जजातः
देवहूतिरुवाच अथाप्यजोऽन्तः सलिले शयानं भूतेन्द्रियार्थात्ममयं वपुस्ते गुणप्रवाहं सदशेषबीजं दद्यौ स्वयं यज्जठराब्जजातः.
We'll switch the next round. Sorry, Aarti, you and Jayashree Shankar, you can be students. स एव विश्वस्य भवान् विधत्ते, गुणप्रवाहेन विभक्तवीर्यः. So next word, you cannot break it. Actually, it's very hard to break it. The only place you can break it is sargat yeniho. That it and the ya you can break at that dya, at that point. Otherwise, it goes all the way. Sargatya niho vitata bisandihi. That ra that goes away becomes a visarga and comma. Okay. So sargadya niho vitata bisandihi, comma. Next word also similar. Atmeshwarotarkya sahasra shaktihi. You cannot break that too much because of the S symbol that is coming. You have to say it together. Saheva vishwasya bhavan vidhatte guna pravahena vibhakta viryah sargadya niho vitata bhisandihi atmeshwarotarkya sahasra shaktihi.
स एव विश्वस्य भवान् विधत्ते गुणप्रवाहेण विभक्तवीर्यः सर्गात्यनीहो वितथाभिसन्धिः आत्मेश्वरोऽतर्क्यसहस्रशक्तिः.
स एव विश्वस्य भवान् विधत्ते गुणप्रवाहेण विभक्तवीर्यः सर्गाद्यनीहो वितथाभिसन्धिः आत्मेश्वरोऽतर्क्यसहस्रशक्तिः.
सत्वं भृतो मे झठरेण नाथ, कथं तु यस्योदर एतदासीत् विश्वं युगान्ते वटपत्र एकः, शेते स्म माया शिशुरङ्घ्रिपानः. It's very beautifully she says, like you from whom in the previous stanza, from who Brahma, who is itself unborn, he's Hiranya Garbha because he's coming from the Garbham of Bhagavan. So Brahma himself is coming from you, and from Brahma all these creations and everything is coming. How can the person from whom everything has come into my womb, right? So how can she say, where is the stanza? Jatarena, how can you come in my Jataram? She's asking. And she herself answers, you can come because aren't you the one who at the end of the millennium when the pralayam happens, you were a small baby who was lying on the banyan leaf putting your feet in your mouth. So you can take a small form. So because of that, I know you can become small, and that's how you ended up in my stomach, right? And she's just doing, mother is doing this stuti, but she's saying it so beautifully.
Rajeshi, the second line, the kadam nu, or what is that?
Kadam tu.
Katam tu. Katam tu.
My book has no.
Oh, okay. I don't know what the difference is, but it says Katam tu in this book. So
thank you, Rajesh.
Satvam bhruto me jhatarena natha katam tu yasyodhara etadhasit vishwam yugante vatapatra ekah shete sma maya shishurangripanah.
सत्वं भृतो मे जठरेण नाथ कथं तु यस्योदर एतदासीत् विश्वं युगान्ते वटपत्र एकः शेते स्म माया शिशुरङ्घ्रिपानः.
सत्वं भृतो मे जठरेण नाथ कथं तु यस्योदर एतदासीत् विश्वं युगान्ते वटपत्र एकः शेते स्म माया शिशुरङ्घ्रिपाणः.
त्वं देह तंत्र प्रशमाय पाप्मनां निदेश भाजां च विभो विभूतये यथावतारास्तव सूकरादयः is goes away visarga comma tatapyam apyatma, just breaking at that ma, tatapyam apyatma pathopalabdhaye त्वं देहतन्त्रः प्रशमाय पाप्मनां निदेश भाजां च विभो विभूतये यथावतारास्तव सूकरादयः तथाह्यमप्यात्मपथोपलब्धये.
Rajesh, and the last line mattu thiruppi ore oru solunga.
Yeah.
Tathayam
apyatma.
Apyatma patho. Tvam dehatantrah prashamaya papmanam nidesha bhajam cha vibho vibhutaye yathavatārāstava sukharadayah tathayam apyatma pathopalabdhaye.
त्वं देहतन्त्रः प्रशमाय पाप्मनां निदेशभाजां च विभो विभूतये यथावतारस्तव सूकरादयः तथायमप्यात्मपथोपलब्धये.
यन् नामधेय श्रवणानुकीर्तनात् yat prahvanat. So I'm just breaking the dhya into it and a ya there. Yat prahvanat yat smaranadapi kvachit shvadopi sadhyas savanaya kalpate, kutaf punaste bhagavannu darshanat. यन्नामधेय श्रवणानुकीर्तनात् यत् प्रह्वनात् यत् स्मरणादपि क्वचित् श्वादोऽपि सद्यः सवनाय कल्पते कुतः पुनस्ते भगवन्नु दर्शनात्.
यन्नामधेय श्रवणानुकीर्तनात् यद्ब्रह्मणात् यत्स्मरणादपि क्वचित् श्वादोऽपि सद्यः सवनाय कल्पते कुतः पुनस्ते भगवन्नुदर्शनात्.
यन्नामधेयश्रवणानुकीर्तनात् यत्प्रवणाद्यत्स्मरणादपि क्वचित् श्वादोऽपि सद्यः सवनाय कल्पते कुतः पुनस्ते भगवान्नु दर्शनात्.
भगवन्नु दर्शनात्.
कुतः पुनस्ते भगवन्नु दर्शनात्.
Aho, sorry, somebody had a question. Aho bata shvapachoto gariyan, yach jihvagre vartate namatubhyam tepus tapaste juhuvus sasnuraryaha, so add a visarga there and comma, sorry. Brahmanuchur nama grinanti yete. Aho bata shvapachoto gariyan yajjihvagre vartate namatubhyam te pustapaste juhuvus sasnuraryaha brahmanuchur nama grinanti yete.
अहो बत श्वपचोतो गरीयान् यज्जिह्वाग्रे वर्तते नाम तुभ्यं ते पुस्तपस्ते जुहुवुः सस्नुरार्याः ब्रह्माणुचुर्नाम गृह्णन्ति ये ते.
अहो बत श्वपचोतो गरीयान् यज्जिह्वाग्रे वर्तते नाम तुभ्यं ते पुस्तपस्ते जुहुवुः सस्नुरार्याः ब्रह्माणुचुर्नाम गृह्णन्ति ये ते. Sasnu, right, Rajesh?
Yeah, sasnu, yeah.
Sasnu, yeah, thanks.
Tam twamaham brahma param pumamsam, pratyak srotasyatmani samvibhavyam swatejasa dvasta guna pravaham, Vande Vishnum Kapilam Vedagarbham. So you say you are Bhagavan Vishnu himself who has taken the form of Kapila and then come and born in my womb. So that's the end of the stuti. That's the 7 stanzas. Tam tvamaham brahma param pumamsam pratyak srotasyatmani samvibhavyam swatejasa dhvasta guna pravaham bandhe vishnum kapilam vedagarbham.
तं त्वामहं ब्रह्म परं पुमांसं प्रत्यक्ष्रोतस्यात्मनि संविभाव्यं स्वतेजसा ध्वस्तगुणप्रवाहं वन्दे विष्णुं कपिलं वेदगर्भम्
त्वं त्वामहं ब्रह्म परं पुमांसं प्रत्यक्स्रोतस्यात्मनि संविभाव्यं स्वतेजसा ध्वस्तगुणप्रवाहं वन्दे विष्णुं कपिलं वेदगर्भम्
Maitreyo vacha idito bhagavanevam, kapilakyah parah puman vacha viklavayetyaha. Cannot read that word, one long word, mataram matru vatsalaha. Maitreyo vacha idito bhagavanevam kapilakyah parah puman vacha viklavayetyaha mataram matru vatsalaha.
मैत्रेय उवाच ईडितो भगवानेवं कपिलाख्यः परः पुमान् वाचा विक्लवयेत्याह मातरं मातृवत्सलः
मैत्रेय उवाच ईडितो भगवानेवं कपिलाख्यः परः पुमान् वाचा विक्लवयेत्याह मातरं मातृवत्सलः
Maitreya vacha
मैत्रेय उवाच
Kapila vacha marge nanena mataste, susevye nodithena me, cannot break that, astitena param kashtham, that ma, breaking it, im, next word starts with the a, achirat avarotsiyasi. So the breaking at the da also if you want, achirat avarotsiyasi. Kapila vacha margenanena mataste susemyenoditena me astitena param kashtham achirat avarotsiyasi.
कपिल उवाच मार्गेणानेन मातस्ते सुसेव्ये नोदितेन मे आस्थितेन परां काष्ठाम् अचिरादवरोत्स्यसि
कपिलुवाच मार्गेणानेन मातस्ते सुसेव्येनोदितेन मे आस्थितेन परां काष्ठाम् अचिराद् अवरोत्स्यसि
Shraddhat swaithan matam mahyam, jushtam yat brahma vadibihi yena mama bhavam yayaha. Add a visarga there, yayaha, mrityum, I'm just breaking at that ma, so mrityum richantya tadvidaha. That's one word, so it can start with the r, the next half of it. Richantya tadvidaha. Shraddhatsvaitanmatam mahyam jushtam yad brahmavadibihi yena mama bhavam yayaha mrityum richantya tadvidaha.
श्रद्धत्स्वैतन्मतं मह्यं जुष्टं यद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः येन मामभवं यायाः मृत्युं मृच्छन्त्यतद्विदः
श्रद्धत्स्वैतन्मतं मह्यं जुष्टं यद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः येन मामभवं यायाः मृत्युं ऋच्छन्त्यतद्विदः
Maitreya vacha
இது
iti
ராஜேஷ், the third line, ஏன மா மபயம் or அபயம்? ஏன
yena
மா
mama
அபயம்
bhavam.
அவமா?
Bha, bha and va.
Okay.
Bhavam.
Okay.
Maitreyo vacha iti pradarshya bhagavan, satim tamatmano gatim Swamatra Brahmavadinya, Kapilonumato Yayau. Maitreya uvacha iti pradarshya bhagavan satim kamatmano gatim swamatra brahmavadinya kapilonumato yayau.
मैत्रेय उवाच इति प्रदर्श्य भगवान् सतीं तामात्मनो गतिं स्वमात्रा ब्रह्मवादिन्या कपिलोऽनुमतो ययौ
मैत्रेय उवाच इति प्रदर्श्य भगवान् सतीं तामात्मनो गतिं स्वमात्रा ब्रह्मवादिन्या कपिलोऽनुमतो ययौ
सा चापि तनयोक्तेन योगादेशेन योगयुक् तस्मिन्नाश्रम आपीढे सरस्वत्या समाहिता. सा चापि तनयोक्तेन योगादेशेन योगयुक् तस्मिन्नाश्रम आपीढे सरस्वत्या समाहिता.
सा चापि तनयोक्तेन योगादेशेन योगयुक् तस्मिन्नाश्रम आपीडे सरस्वत्या समाहिता
सा चापि तनयोक्तेन योगादेशेन योगयुक् तस्मिन्नाश्रम आपीडे सरस्वत्या समाहिता
Abhikshnavagaha, cannot break that word. Abhikshnavagaha kapishan, jatilan kutilalakan, atmanam chogra tapasa, bibhrati chirinam krisham. Abhikshnavagaha kapishan, jatilan kutilalakan, atmanam chogra tapasa, bibhrati chirinam krisham.
अभीक्ष्णावगाह कपिशान् जटिलान् कुटिलालकान् आत्मानं चोग्रतपसा बिभ्रती चीरिणं कृशम्
अभीक्ष्णावगाह कपिशान् जटिलान् कुटिलालकान् आत्मानं चोग्रतपसा बिभ्रती चीरिणं कृशम्
प्रजापतेः कर्दमस्य तपो योग विजृंभितं स्वगार्हस्थ्यं ब्रेकिंग अदत्मा गार्हस्थ्यम अनौपम्यम प्रार्थ्यम वैमानिकैरपि प्रजापते कर्दमस्य तपो योग विजृंभितं स्वगार्हस्थ्यम अनौपम्यम प्रार्थ्यम वैमानिकैरपि
प्रजापतिः कर्दमस्य तपो योगविजृम्भितं स्वगार्हस्थ्यम् अनौपम्यं प्रार्थ्यं वैमानिकैरपि
प्रजापते कर्दमस्य तपो योगविजृम्भितं स्वगार्हस्थम् अनौपम्यं प्रार्थ्यं वैमानिकैरपि
We'll switch here. I'm just going to take 10 minutes to see whatever meaning we can, and then we'll continue. But I don't think we'll be able to finish this chapter, actually. There's still more left. Yeah.
The conversation between Kapila and Devakurti. So Maitri Vacha, ipa vandirukku adu enna?
I'll tell here, right? So I'll tell now in a minute. Yeah. So, so the conversation between, so like it's a nested loop, right? Like Shukha Brahman is telling it to Parikshit about what Maitreya is telling Vidura about the conversation between Kapila and Devahuti, right? So that's a 3-level loop going on here. So now Maitreya is coming back, right? Saying that now that Kapila has given all the knowledge that is needed to be given to Devahuti, he just wraps it up saying, he says, mother, like I've given everything that is to be known. He says it's very, very simple. He says, don't complicate your mind. Just listen to exactly what I have said, which is just be constantly in devotion with Bhagavan. Do not get mind and senses attached to other things. Just follow these things. Don't get attached and just follow devotion. He says, just follow that and you have all the knowledge that is required. Because like you said, right, you can just to do bhakti yoga, but she also has the knowledge now. So she also understands about the Brahman. She also now understands about the renunciation, all of that stuff. She understands how the Prakriti and Purusha reaction, all of that is happening, how the soul is independent, all of that she also understands. She says it's very simple. You just follow these instructions and then you will eventually get liberated. So with that, Kapila Muni takes a leave with from Devahuti. So now that Kapila has left, so Devahuti now starts her practice of Bhakti Yoga. If you remember, her original thing long time back, she told Kardama Prajapati that you will leave, your daughters will get married. I unfortunately wasted all my life doing housework and I never gained knowledge, right? She said, who is going to help me get liberated? Because you, Kardama, already have the knowledge required. Who is going to help me out, right? That's when Kapila came in and gave her all the knowledge that is actually required right now. So it then talks about, she remembers there in the banks of the river Saraswati, so there she's still in that ashramam of Kapila. So she then starts dedicating her entire day. So it talks about how she takes bath 3 times a day, and she's fully in devotion. So remember, she had become like a youth. If you remember long time back, Kardama actually made her very young before all the kids were born. So she had black hair, it says. She had black hair, but then because she's constantly in praying right now, her hair starts becoming gray because she's not caring about her body, right? And her body becomes thin and she's not caring about what she's wearing. And it also talks about how it again reminds us of the opulence, the money that, or how rich Kardama was, because you remember he had built an aerial palace which they went through all the planets, and they talked about how it had 9 layers and all of that. So it again talks through all the luxury that Devahuti still has, but she's not accepting. It's very difficult for us to leave our luxury house and go. She's in a very luxurious place. That's why they're describing that again, saying that looking at her luxury, the people who are flying, the Devas and Devatas, they look at her and envy her, saying she's in such a luxurious place. So that is the amount of luxury that she is in, but she abandons all of that. I mean, she's still there, but she's not attached to it, right? And then she's always focused on, just on her meditation, and she gets into a state of samadhi, and she's constantly thinking about Bhagavan. So with all of, but she's still at some point, it talks about how she's still missing Kapila a little bit. She's not missing Kardama or anybody, but she's still missing Kapila because he was the one who's given her the knowledge, who's been with her all the time, and he finally has also left. So she's a little bit missing that, but she continues to constantly in that and be in the devotional service. And because she first she realizes Brahman, like we talked about, through Jnana Yoga, how you understand, but it's not just theoretical understanding, right? A lot of us can talk about, what Advaitam is or what Brahman is, how Nirguna Brahman doesn't have a form, Jnana Yoga, but what does it truly mean? Do you really experience it, right? So you have to really experience that. And she's come to that point of experiencing it, because the moment you start experiencing it, it says you will fall in love with that Nirguna Brahman, right? So, and that falling in love with the Nirguna Brahman is getting you more attached to that Nirguna Brahman, which is resulting in devotion. So that is a path even Kardama is saying, right? No, that doesn't mean that, oh, I have to only do this or that. He says it's a natural thing. Once you truly understand it, you will fall in love with the Nirguna Brahman, which is the Supreme Brahman, which is the same you can follow through any of the paths, which is what she is also going through. And, so it talks about how she doesn't care, but the people who are there are still feeding her. So she's pretty much just doing this all day, right? And with that, finally she gets liberated. Finally, a time has come for her the soul to leave the body, and she leaves. And he talks about how the place where Devahuti left her body, which is on the banks of the river Saraswati, he says the body merges onto the river, because of which that place is called a Siddhapada. And he says, now when you Google where is Siddhapada, it says it's somewhere in the Gujarat, Rajasthan region where the Saraswati river was flowing. So it's somewhere in that place where she is. And because her body also merged into the river got more purified, because, she's a great soul. And with that, Devahuti, she departs, and then she also gets liberated. And in the meantime, he brings back Kapila. Kapila, who ends up leaving, he then goes towards the northeast. Like even Bhattaripad said that in Dashakam 15, he says Kapila goes towards the northeast, where he's still in trance. He's still, alive and in trance, meditating. So he then goes from there. So with that, this thing comes to an end. And the end, he again wraps us saying that, this description of the Palastuti again, right? Saying that this conversation between Kapila and Devahuti is very confidential, because it's got a lot of details in there. So whoever listens to it with faith and who follows it as well will eventually be taken by Bhagavan on Garuda to Vaikuntham, and they'll get liberated. So that brings an end to this 13 chapters of the conversation, which started with Kardama Prajapati praying. And I have a summary I thought I'll say today, but we won't have time. I'll probably summarize in the next class the 13 chapters, right? But anyway, it started with Kardama praying for a good wife to do his duty as a Prajapati, and then all this Kapilopakyanam, and finally this comes to an end. So from fourth skandam, we'll start getting to more story topics. I think this was very philosophical, but then it will get a little bit more easy. Okay, last 17, 18 minutes. Who did I have? Satya, you and Srividya, Sriram, are you there?
Here. I'm here.
Okay. Okay, where did we drop it? 15. Yeah. It's from 16. Payaf Pena Nibhash Shayyaha. Add a visarga there. Shayyaha, comma. Danta Rukma Parichadaha. Asanani cha Haimani, comma. Susparshas Taranani cha. Payafena Nibhashayyaha. Danta Rukma Parichadaha. Asanani cha Haimani. Susparshas Taranani cha.
अयःपेन निभाषय्याः दान्ता रुक्मपरिच्छदाः आसनानि च हैमानि सुस्पर्शास्तरणानि च
भयःपेन निभाषय्याः दान्ता रुक्मपरिच्छदाः आसनानि च हैमानि सुस्पर्शास्तरणानि च
स्वच्छ स्फटिक कुड्येषु, महामारकथेषु च रत्न प्रदीपा आभान्ति, ललना रत्न संयुताः. Ratnam Marakatam just talks about the palace, talks about how it is all studded with all of this thing, right? The luxurious palace where she is. Swachcha sphatika kudhyeshu महामारकतेषु च रत्न प्रदीपा आभान्ति ललना रत्न संयुताः.
स्वच्छ स्फटिककुट्येषु महामारकतेषु च रत्नप्रदीपा आभान्ति ललना रत्नसंयुताः.
स्वच्छ स्फटिककुट्येषु महामारगतेषु च रत्नप्रदीपा आभान्ति ललना संयुताः.
गृहोद्यानं कुसुमितैः. Put a visarga and comma there because we are pausing. Ramyam bahvamaradhrumaihi kujat vihanga mithunam, gayan matha madhu vratam. Gृहोद्यानं कुसुमितैः रम्यं बह्वमरद्रुमैः कूजत् विहङ्गमिथुनं गायन् मत्तमधुव्रतम्.
गृहोद्यानं कुसुमितैः रम्यं बह्वमरद्रुमैः कूजत् विहङ्गमिथुनं right?
Mithunam. Yeah.
Okay. कूजत् विहङ्गमिथुनं गायन्मत्तमधुव्रतम्.
गृहोद्यानं कुसुमितैः रम्यं बह्वमरद्रुमैः कूजत् विहङ्गमिथुनं गायन्मत्तमधुव्रतम्.
यत्र प्रविष्टम् आत्मानं, विबुधानुचरा जगुः वाप्याम् उत्पल गन्धिन्यां, कर्दमेनोपलालितं. One word. यत्र प्रविष्टमात्मानं विबुधानुचरा जगुः वाप्याम् उत्पलगन्धिन्यां कर्दमेनोपलालितम्.
यत्र प्रविष्टमात्मानं विबुधानुचरा जगुः वाप्याम् उत्पलगन्धिन्यां कर्दमेनोपलालितम्
यत्र प्रविष्टमात्मानं विबुधानुचरा जगुः वाप्यामुत्पलगन्धिन्यां कर्दमेनोपलालितम्
हित्वा तदीप्सित tamam, breaking at that ma, tadipsita tamam, comma. Next word starts with the apyakhandala yoshitam, kinchit chakara vadanam, comma, putra vishleshanatura. Hitva tadipsita tamam, apyakhandala yoshitam, kinchit chakara vadanam, putra vishleshanatura.
हित्वा तदीप्सिततमम् अप्याकण्डलयोषिताम् किञ्चिञ्चच्चकारवदनम् पुत्रविश्लेषणातुरा
हित्वा तदीप्सिततमम् अभ्याकण्डलयोषितां किञ्चिच्चकारवदनं पुत्रविश्लेषणातुरा
Vanam pravrajite patyau. That va that is there, I'm just going to remove it. Put a patyau. It's easy to say, comma. The va goes away. Next word starts with the a. Apatya virahatura. Nyata tatvapya bhunnashte. One word. Tatvapya bhunnashte. Comma. Vatse gauriva vatsala. Vanam pravrajite patyau. अपत्य विरहातुरा ज्ञात तत्त्वाप्य भून्नष्टे वत्से गौरिव वत्सला
वनं प्रव्रजिते पत्यौ अपत्य विरहातुरा ज्ञाततत्त्वाप्यभून्नष्टे वत्से गौरिव वत्सला
वनं प्रवर्जिते पत्यो अपत्य विरहातुरा ज्ञानतत्त्वाप्युनन्नष्टे वत्से गौरिव वत्सला.
Two things. Second line, first word is nyata, ta sound. Okay.
Nyata.
Then first line வந்து pravrajite.
Pravrajite.
Okay. Did you have anything different? Vanam pravrajite patyau.
இன்னொரு ஒரு வா இருந்தது. பிரவ்ரஜிதே வா. எனக்கு அப்படி
pra and bra. Both of them have a ra sound.
Okay.
Yeah, pravrajite. Tameva dhyayati devam im, comma, apatyam kapilam harim, bhabuva chirato vatsa, comma, nispriha tadrishe grihe. Tameva dhyayati devam apatyam kapilam harim, bhabuva chirato vatsa, nispriha tadrishe grihe.
तमेव ध्यायति देवम् अपत्यं कपिलं हरिं बभूवा चिरतो वत्स निःस्पृहा तादृशे गृहे
तमेव ध्यायति देवम् अपत्यं कपिलं हरिं बभूवा चिरतो वत्स निःस्पृहा तदृशे गृहे
तादृशे
गृहे
ध्यायति भगवत रूपम, यदाह ध्यान गोचरम सुतः प्रसन्न वदनम, समस्त व्यस्त चिंतया. Remember, Kapila also taught Devahuti about that, Ashtanga Yoga, and he thought about the process of meditation. So that's what she's doing here. She's imagining your form, the Prasanna Vadanam, your smiling face, and meditating on that form. And that way she's able to then get into a state of samadhi also with that. ध्यायति भगवद्रूपं यदाह ध्यानगोचरं सुतः प्रसन्नवदनं समस्तव्यस्तचिन्तया.
ध्यायति भगवद्रूपं यदाह ध्यानगोचरं सुतः प्रसन्नवदनं समस्तव्यस्तचिन्तया.
ध्यायति भगवद्रूपं यदाह ध्यानगोचरं सुतः प्रसन्नवदनं समस्तव्यश्चिन्तया.
भक्ति प्रवाह योगेन वैराग्येन बलीयसा युक्तानुष्ठान जातेन ज्ञानेन ब्रह्म हेतुना भक्ति प्रवाह योगेन वैराग्येन बलीयसा युक्तानुष्ठान जातेन ज्ञानेन ब्रह्म हेतुना
भक्तिप्रवाहयोगेन वैराग्येन बलीयसा युक्तानुष्ठानजातेन ज्ञानेन ब्रह्महेतुना
भक्तिप्रवाहयोगेन वैराग्येन बलीयसा युक्तानुष्ठान जातेन ज्ञानेन ब्रह्महेतुना.
So, like not only bhakti yoga, but because she also understands all other things, but the detachment, something she's also getting, because of which she's only doing what is bare minimum to sustain her body, right? Instead of indulging and spending on it, she's able to get her senses also under control with all of this. Vishuddhena tadatmanam vekadatma, atmana vishwato mukham Swanubhutya tirobhuta put a plus Maya guna visheshanam. So that second line is continuous. Vishuddhena tadhatmanam atmana vishvato mukham Swanubhutya tirobhuta Maya guna visheshanam.
विशुद्धेन तदात्मानम् आत्मना विश्वतो मुखम् स्वानुभूत्या तिरोभूत माया गुणविशेषणम्
विशुद्धेन ततात्मानम् आत्मना विश्वतो मुखम् स्वानुभूत्या तिरोभूत माया गुणविशेषणम्.
Brahmanya vastitha matihi visarga matihi. Next line ir goes away. Bhagavatyatma samshraye nivritta jiva patitvat put a plus sheena kleshapta nirvritihi. The lines together, but it's okay if you stop in the middle at patitvat, that's okay. Brahmanyavastita matihi Bhagavathyatma samshraye Nivritta jiva patitvat kshina kleshapta nirvritihi.
So patitvat kapram pause irukka?
It continues, but I'm just saying that's the middle portion anyways. If you want to take a small pause, that's okay there. That line goes to...
Okay. ब्रह्मण्यवस्थितमतिः भगवत्यात्मसंश्रये निवृत्तजीवापत्तित्वात् क्षीणक्लेशाप्तनिर्वृतिः.
ब्रह्मण्यवस्थितमतिः भगवत्यात्मसंश्रये निवृत्तजीवापतित्वात् क्षीणक्लेशाप्तनिर्वृतिः.
And the patitvat is there, right? So you just nibritta jiva patitvat. So you just you just land that, and it'll
and then
proper.
start kshina.
Yeah.
Nibritta jiva patitvat kshina kleshapta nirvritihi.
Yeah. Nitya rudha samadhitvat. Again, same plus there. Paravritta gunabhrama. That line together. Na sasmara tadhatmanam, swapne drishtam ivothitaha. Nityarhuda samadhitvat paravritta gunabhrama na sasmara tadhatmanam swapne drishtam ivothitaha.
Nityarudha samadhitvat paravritta gunabhrama nasasmara tadatmanam swapne drashtum ivotitaha.
Drishtam ivotitaha.
Yeah, swapne drishtum ivotitaha.
Drishtam ivotitaha.
Drishtam, okay.
Nityarudha samadhitvat pravritta.
Paravritta.
Okay. Nityarudha samadhitva paravritta gunaprama nasasmara ततात्मानं स्वप्ने दृष्टमिवोत्थितः
तद्देहः paratah poshopi. That pya that is there, we're going to break it. So poshopi, comma. Next one, that it'll start with a. Akrishash chadya sambhavat. Akrishash chadya sambhavat. Bhavau malair avachannaha, comma. Sadhuma iva pavakah. So it just like talks about how she's looking like a fire which is surrounded by smoke. So it looks bad on the outside with all the smoke, but inside that fire is burning. So that's why she has become like that. She's very tejasvi, but on the outside she looks completely old and distraught from that looks. Taddeha paratah poshopi akrishaschadya sambhavat bhavau malairavachannaha sadhuma iva pavakah.
तद्देह परतः पोषोऽपि तद्देह परतः पोषोऽपि अकृशश्चाद्य सम्भवात् बभौ अवच्छन्नः सधूम इव पावकः
तद्देह प्रतपोक्षोभि अकृशश्चाद्य सम्भवात् बभौ मलैरवचन्नः सधूम इव पावकः
Bhavau
sorry Rajesh, அந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட்ல போஷோ பி அது பியா பியா வெறும் ஸ்மால்
பி ஷார்ட் பி
விசர்கா இருக்குங்க
விசர்கா இல்ல போஷோபி
okay
the p and a becomes pya, so on the poshopi.
Okay.
Shivitya, the malair avachannaha.
Bhavau malair avachannaha.
Yeah. We'll do one more maybe and stop. Swangam tapo yogamayam, comma, mukta kesham gatambaram, daiva guptam na bhubudhe, comma, vasudheva pravishtadhihi. Swangam tapo yogamayam mukta kesham gatambaram, daiva guptam na bhubudhe, vasudheva pravishtadhihi.
स्वाङ्गं तपोयोगमयं मुक्तकेशं गताम्बरं दैवगुप्तं न बुबुधे वासुदेव प्रविष्टधीः
स्वाङ्गं तपोयोगमयं मुक्तकेशं गताम्बरं दैवगुप्तं न बुबुधे वासुदेव प्रविष्टधीः
Rajesh 30 ல முடிக்கலாமா?
30 முடியும். Okay. Evam sa kapilokthena, comma, margena chirataf param atmanam brahma nirvanam, comma, bhagavantam avapah. Evam sa kapilokthena margena chirataf param atmanam brahma nirvanam bhagavantam avapah.
एवं सा कपिलोक्थेन मार्गेणाचिरतः परम् आत्मानं ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं भगवन्तम् अवापः
एवं सा कपिलोक्तेन मार्गेणाचिरतः परम् आत्मानं ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं भगवन्तम् अवापः
हरे नमः श्री हरे नमः श्री हरे नमः गोपिका जीवन स्मरणं गोविंदा गोविंदा सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you,
day.
Rajesh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, everyone.
Rajesh. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.